have 4 speakers in this session, and this session is being chaired by Mr. Sanjeev Sharma. Mr. Sanjeev Sharma is based in Singapore and is the Senior Vice President and Head of Specialty Grains and Seeds at Olam International. With over 25 years of experience, he has led Olam's global sesame seed business since 2009, elevating it to industry leadership. He also oversees the superfoods business, including ancient grains and specialty seeds like quinoa, chia, and amaranth. Our 4 speakers this morning are going to be, starting with Mr. Masahiro Shiraishi, the Deputy General Manager, Cocoa and Sesame, ITOCHU Corporation, followed by Ms. Lily Lee, the General Manager of Olam Global Agri, Mr. Deniz Kiziltan from Kiziltan Agro, and Mr. Mihir Parmar. Each one of these speakers shall be joining us on the podium. I would request our speakers to kindly limit their presentations to 5 or 6 minutes so that towards the end of the panel, we have a bigger chunk of time left for audience engagement, panel discussion, and question answers. Our first speaker taking the podium this morning for this session is Mr. Masahiro Shiraishi. He's the Deputy General Manager of Cocoa and Sesame Section at ITOCHU Corporation based in Tokyo. ITOCHU is a leading Japanese trading company and has been trading sesame since 1950s, importing seeds from over 30 origins for Japan and China markets. Let's give a warm round of applause to Mr. Masahiro Shiraishi.
All right. Good morning, everyone. 早上好. My name is Masahiro Shiraishi from ITOCHU Corporation, Japan. First of all, thank you very much for Eventel and CNFA to give me this opportunity to stand in this stage. I would like to speak about the Japanese sesame situation. Okay, let's move on the slide. First of all, I would like to review about the sesame import volumes. 2023, Japan imported in red circle 176,000 metric tons. It's almost unchanged from the year before, 2022. And on the next point, I mentioned the first half, from January to June 2024 import number. This was 80,000 ton. This import volume, the last year, 2023, January to June, was 97,000 ton. So about 70,000 ton decrease compared to the year before. And if you go to the details, as you can see, the 86% is from Africa. And then Middle and South America, Asia for 30%, and other origins. And for the top 5 countries will be Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Mozambique, and Paraguay. And for these top 4, it will be about 75% share of the total Japan import. On the right graph, you can see some of the data up and down, moving on. But the one point I want to stress is that the Mozambique, in the line on the purple, is increasing. And instead, the Paraguay, the blue one on the bottom, is decreasing. This is because that Paraguay, the South American sesame price is relatively high, and also the Mozambique is relatively low. Plus, the Mozambique's edible grade is now accepted by the Japanese customer, and also they have a good Sortex level. So this makes the Mozambique quantity is increased to Japan market. Let's move on to the crushing volume of Japan. Crushing volume is on the line, on the pink line. It's generally increasing, and also the year-end stock in the blue boxes. It's about moving on sideways. There's a little bit up and downs. But if you see on the ratio on the green line, now on the end of the 2023, it's about the bottom, this 10 years, which means that the stock is not much enough as for the crushing volume. This is the year end of 2023. You see on the first half, to the January to June, you can see much more decrease. At the end of June, the year-end stock is about 51%. Actually, average for this about 10 years is 84%. So this end of June, the stock ratio is the lowest since these 10 years. The crushing volume is steadily. We have a little bit of increase. And I have another data to show you. It's just for the supporting the consumption data. This is the sesame seed oil export from Japan to the overseas. Export data is almost unchanged. In these recent years, it moves around 10,000 tons. And this for first half, it's about 5,000 tons. So it's also steady moving. And I think end of the year will be around 10,000 tons as before. Okay. All right, then you can see that the consumption, the crushing volume is good. Export is also on the sideways. Import a little bit below. And the main one is the less stocks in Japan. And what is the main reason of this stock decreasing? Will be what I can say is the biggest reason is the rejections of the aflatoxin or the agri-chemical residues. This is the numbers. We can get this data from the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare of Japan. But as you can see from the 2023, the rejection of the cargo, the offshore rejections of the cargo is increased a lot. And the main one is the carbaryl, and then aflatoxin, imidacloprid, thiamethoxam. All these chemicals and the toxins are now in all the inspections, which means that now government is 100% check for some of the countries. And the countries is Mozambique is the number one. There's the biggest rejection, and Tanzania, Pakistan, and Nigeria and others follows. At this moment, Japan currently receiving the West African sesame now, yet. So possibly there will be some more rejections from there. And also the East African cargoes are now just started to arrive. So we may have more rejection to be there. And for this order inspection, I just show you this now, what is the regulation, the target now is this. These 6 countries are now in order inspections as for Japan government. Pakistan, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Mozambique. As you can see that many of them are mostly the aflatoxin. And some of the chemicals are there for Nigeria, imidacloprid, Tanzania, and Mozambique, also there are imidacloprid, carbaryl, and thiamethoxam. For the cargo from these countries will be 100% checked by the Japanese quarantine, and also check these aflatoxin and chemicals by the quarantine. And if the numbers detected are over the Japanese regulation limit, then the cargo cannot to be imported, and we have to reject and sell back or ship back or resell or something. And so as there are many rejections now, and also all the inspections happening. What we ITOCHU estimate for this year's import volume will be a slight decrease compared to the year before, year 2023. Many of them, this is my estimate, the main 5 African origins, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Mozambique, it will be a big challenges. There will be a big challenges to have an import and also to clear all those chemicals and aflatoxins. These will be decreased probably, and then compared to others, the customers and Japanese traders will also look for a new origin, which is not the target of the older inspections. So as a total, we think that the Japanese import will be around 160,000 plus minus. Will be definitely below last year's import volume. So we are now really carefully for the cargo, which is whether it's safe, within the limit of the Japanese regulation. And we also would like our suppliers and origins to be careful with these chemicals and also aflatoxins. And as I said, we are always looking for new origins to bring to Japan. Okay, this is all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shiraishi. As always, we shall be having a combined question-answer session later, as the entire panel will be seated here on the stage. It is time for me to invite our next speaker. Ms. Lily Lee is a graduate of Qingdao University with a postgraduate degree from China Ocean University and has been in the sesame import industry since 2005. She now leads the business for Olam Agri in China.
首先感谢主办方给我这个机会来讲一下中国芝麻的这个消费的情况。前面呢，先讲一下有一个免责声明。这个下面的演讲呢，纯属是我个人的观点，仅供大家参考。那么我的演讲呢，从下面8个部分来开始讲。那么第一呢，先讲中国的芝麻制品；第二呢，讲中国芝麻的总的消费量；在下面呢，讲一下中国芝麻都用哪些颜色的；然后再讲一下呢，它们的供应地是从哪里来。讲一下呢它的主要的用途以及它的价值的提升，然后呢还有哪些的这个附加这个影响因素，然后最后讲一下它有哪些的替代品。那么这个呢是在中国芝麻的制品的用途，大家主要看呢有这个芝麻油、芝麻酱，然后还有这个在这个所谓的我们叫芝麻烧饼上面。然后还有一些馅儿料，然后芝麻糊等等，然后近几年比较新开发出来的呢，就是说这个做沙拉用的芝麻酱，然后还有这个咖啡里面有芝麻味的咖啡，以及芝麻味的奶茶等等。就是说在传统的消费的基础上呢，我们又开发出来一些新的品种。那么这个呢是讲一下这个中国芝麻的这个消费总量我个人认为这个中国芝麻的消费总量呢总体是一个上升的趋势。这个地方呢我给了一些这个具体的数据，这个是从2011年一直到现在到2023年的一个消费的一个趋势。那么这个实际上来讲呢，中国芝麻消费总量的这个增加呢，主要是从哪里来呢？我觉得主要是由进口芝麻来支撑的。这个进口芝麻的总量在不断的增加，然后我认为在2015年到今天这近10年间，进口芝麻消费总量这个量呢占中国总消费量的80%以上，在2015年。以前的话呢，大约在从40%到60%这个区间波动。这个总量的话呢，我的数据比何总的有点保守我的认为呢，从2015年至今呢，中国芝麻的消费总量在100到120万吨之间。那么这个中国芝麻消费主要是哪一些呢？然后如果从颜色上来区分的话呢，我认为呢。 有我们行业内所讲的有白芝麻、花芝麻，也就是我们用英语说就 mixes。当然，这个白芝麻的话呢，就是各种各样的白吧。我们说的这个有什么市场级的、炒货级的，还有普通白等等。然后另一种呢就是黑芝麻，再往下呢就是有一些棕色的芝麻呀，或者是红色的芝麻等等。那么这个白麻或者是花麻呢，就是各个产地都有，然后中国的也有，进口的也有，非洲的也有，边贸的也有。然后这个黑芝麻呢，主要是产在中国国产江西有一部分，然后主要的大头呢是从缅甸过来，然后当然非洲也有一些啊，就是特别是最近几年这个莫桑比克开始有黑芝麻供应，然后当然还有一些印度呀，这些地方呢也过来一些黑芝麻。那中麻和红麻呢，相对的数量就比较少。你像前几年以前的这个埃塞红啊，然后所谓的苏丹红啊等等，还有一些其他产地的棕色芝麻。那么我认为呢，在这个所有的供应当中的话呢，这个白麻和这个花麻呢，能够占所有供应量的83%左右。当然，这个数字呢是我个人的观点。在黑芝麻呢，也就是说16%左右。这个棕麻和红麻还有其他颜色芝麻呢很少，我觉得也就占1%左右吧。那么白麻和花麻干什么呢？就是说主要是说榨油啊、做色选啊、做麻仁啊，然后以及做炒货呀、做酱啊等等。然后黑麻呢，就是说像我们说的芝麻粉啊、芝麻糊啊，然后还有做在烘焙这个行业啊，然后还有做酱啊。这等等，也有做油的，也有黑芝麻油。棕色芝麻那就是很简单了，主要是做麻仁和油的。然后再讲一下这个中国这个芝麻消费的供应地是哪里来的。然后首先呢是国产芝麻，我们中国也有芝麻，主要是种在湖北、湖南、江西、安徽。等等这些，因为李总已经给了这个一个非常详细的介绍了关于国产芝麻的。那么国产芝麻的所占的用量呢就很少，我个人感觉呢，也就是在5%左右。那么还有一个途径的话呢，可能大家都没有涉及到，就是我讲的边贸，这个呢数据的话呢，也在我个人认为呢，也占15%左右的量。那么最主要的这个来源呢是在进口，那么我们的大贸的进口，然后这种呢，就是说在各个海关的报关，然后我觉得在大贸进口的80%的总量，消费总量是来自这个，然后在80%的进口总量呢，又有大约在70%到80%的这个货物呢是运到青岛港的。那么讲一下这个国产货啊，国产货的种植区域就不用讲了，颜色的话呢，我们有白麻，有黄白芝麻，然后有黑麻。然后用途呢非常的广泛，我们所有的都有，然后做油、做酱、做芝麻粉，还有一些出口等等。然后这个国产芝麻的特点是什么呢？就是说，首先口感好，这是我们用芝麻的第一要素。但是相对来讲价格比较高。那么我认为国产芝麻的趋势是什么呢？就是说。我个人感觉，国产芝麻的种植是连年下降的，它的供应量也是连年下降的。虽然说在过去的2-3年，由于各种原因，种植面积有所增加，总量也有所增加，特别是2023年和2024年这2年，但是我个人感觉总体的下降的趋势是很难改的。那么边贸的话呢，另一个点就是边贸主要是供应黑麻呀、白麻呀，然后我们的黑芝麻的消费绝大部分的量是来自边贸的，然后这个当然主要产地是缅甸那边了啊。用途呢很简单，就是芝麻粉啊，然后做油啊、做酱啊，以及说做烘焙行业的，放在这个芝麻烧饼还有这个所谓的面包上面的黑芝麻呢，都是这样的。然后它的特点呢，就是说价格便宜，因为这个供应地的原因嘛。然后还有到货快，因为从边贸过来以后，大约1个星期到10天左右就可以发送到中国的消费各个地方。主要的一个问题，我个人感觉啦，就是供应不稳定，由于各种各样的原因，它的供应不是太稳定。 那么重点，那么我们讲一下这个进口的芝麻。这个进口芝麻呢，是指在中国海关这个进口报关的数量。那么，从这个数据呢，是从2000年开始，中国开始进口芝麻，一直到2023年的数据。因为2024年呢，我们目前只拿到了7月份的数据，所以我就没有往上写。那么你从这个图上来看的话，从2000年我们开始进口芝麻，一直到2023年，它其实这个量是总体的是增加的。那么可能2023年大家感觉有点下降，但是如果看一下2024年1到7月份的数据，我个人感觉2024年到年底的时候，这个进口的数量是增加的，特别是相比2023年来讲。那么这个进口的这个供应的产地比较多，而且每一个时间节点都有所供应。比方说上半年有西非的，下半年有东非的，然后下半年当然目前还增加了一个巴基斯坦的。那么从质量上来讲的话呢，这个是相对比较稳定的，然后性价比呢也比较高，这是我们中国芝麻消费的主要来源。因为这个进口呢，每一年每一个产地呢都有所变化，特别是在最初的时候呢，像埃塞呀、苏丹呀引领了这个进口的这个主要的份额。那么后面几年呢，在不断的变化。那么我给了一个具体的数据呢，也就是说去年的总的进口量来讲。那么从这个2023年大家来看。第一大供应地是哪里呢？就是说是尼日利亚和尼日尔能够占整个供应的22%的市场份额，然后其次是第二大供应地呢是巴基斯坦。当然，巴基斯坦在前几年在没有拿到这个 DFT 之前的话呢，它的供应量是非常小的，所以说巴基斯坦在这2年的市场份额呢增加的非常快。那再往下看的话，你比方苏丹。然后至11%，然后它的这个市场份额是我个人感觉是逐年下降的。然后你看多哥、马里、布基纳，那么就是在13%的市场份额。再往后看的话，就是坦桑尼亚呀，还有这14%，莫桑比克呀9%。然后因为缅甸呢，其实缅甸是一个很大的供应国，但是有很多的数据呢是没有统计在报关行列内的，所以就不好讲这个数字啊。这是以2023年的这个海关报关数据为准。那么我们再讲一下这个芝麻在中国的用途。然后我这个呢是以芝麻原麻来讲的啊。那么芝麻原麻呢，供应的方式呢主要是进口、国产和边贸。如果把它看成一个整体的来讲的话呢，我认为这个原麻大约有40%左右的直接进到了榨油厂，这是指原麻。然后当然这是我个人的观点，其实呢真正的这个榨油的消费总量呢在50%到55%之间。我下面呢后面一页再讲这个剩下的部分从哪里来。那么在这里面呢有大约20%的左右的原麻原芝麻，然后这呢进入到麻仁厂去做麻仁，然后呢大约有10%左右的芝麻呢进入色选厂去做色选，然后当然呢还有一个10%左右的是进入炒货厂。这2年呢炒货发展的比较快，然后再剩下的20%呢就是去做所谓的做酱啊，然后做出口啊，以及其他的一些用途啊。然后这个总体的消费量是我个人认为呢是在不断的增加的，这是中国总体的这个消费量。但是这2年的话呢，我个人认为是麻仁和色选的增加不是很快，就说保持稳定吧。但是炒货行业，特别这几年呢，是比较新兴的行业，增长的非常快。那么大头就是说榨油这几年保持比较稳定，有增长，但是不是很快。另一个呢，小的品种就是芝麻制品的增长非常快。那么下面就讲一下这个图呢，可能有点绕啊，那我讲的时候慢慢讲。然后这个从消费里面，你看有很多的货物呢是直接流入到麻仁厂的， 然后也有很多的货物流入色选厂，然后流入炒货厂，做成了其他的这个back 不了了哈。然后做成了其他的品种，但是从这个麻仁厂，它加工完了以后呢，有很多的麻仁它直接流入到了大的食品厂，当然有很多麻仁也流入到这个批发市场，然后呢进入我们所谓的这个小的食品厂或者食品作坊，然后但是有很多的东西，它剩下的东西部分的东西就流入了榨油用。那么我前面讲的呢是40%的原麻进入油厂，那么剩下的15%从哪里来？那么就是从这里来。那就是说麻仁厂有一些东西也是进入榨油用的。那么从炒货厂，那么炒货厂出来的货呢，当然有很多去做大的食品厂用啊，也有的是做酱，但是也有很大的一部分是榨油用的，这是一个行业的一个变化。然后包括进入这个色选厂也是，色选完了以后的货物呢，有很多的货物进入了这个食品行业、食品厂，然后有的呢进入了这个批发市场，但是呢，批发市场当然又有流入这个所谓的小的这个食品作坊吧。那么其实从色选厂有很多的部分还是要进入榨油行业的，这就是说，其实有10%到15%的榨油用的芝麻是别的行业加工过以后进入这里面的。那么再讲一下这个芝麻用途的这个附加值增加的这个情况啊。那么从几个行业来讲，我认为首先呢，最大的用量呢就是榨油，有50%到55%的用量呢是这个进入榨油行业的。那么榨油呢，芝麻油的价格呢相对稳定，然后这个我觉得油厂呢，如果这个原料的价格上升很快的时候，可能油厂就要亏钱，然后如果原料的价格处于低位的时候呢，就会给油厂带来巨大的利润。所以说呢，这个芝麻油的价格，油厂这个可能因为原料的价格变化，承受巨大的损失，或者是带来巨大的利润。当然了，这个还有一点就是说，这个品牌的价值是非常突出的。这个品牌给芝麻油带来了很高的附加值。这个另一个主要的用途呢，就是麻仁儿，我们就说的脱皮芝麻。麻仁儿呢带来的，我个人认为带来的加工溢价不是很大。这个麻仁儿的价格随着港口现货的价格呢而变动。色选呢，这个在青岛港也有很多的色选厂，色选的价格实际上是很透明的。我个人认为加工的溢价呢也不是很大。那么还有一个主要用途呢，就是芝麻酱。芝麻酱的利润是相对不错的。然后芝麻酱的消费是有季节的，比方说夏天的话，大家吃凉拌菜要用到芝麻酱；然后冬天的话呢，大家吃火锅的时候呢，也要用到芝麻酱。炒货的话呢，是这2年发展比较快的一个行业，特别是在前2年利润是比较不错的。当然这2年，今年呢就是增加的这个产量有点大吧，可能利润有所下降，但是这几年增加是非常快的。那么像其他的芝麻制品啊，如果像超市的小包装的这个芝麻啊，然后包括我们新开发的所谓的芝麻味的冰淇淋啊、芝麻味的奶茶呀、芝麻的这个沙拉酱啊等等，这些是增长非常快的，而且利润很好。那么再讲一下这个影响对消费的影响因素啊。这张图是我们的一个跟踪，然后这个呢我截取了从12年一直到现在的一个整体的一个走势啊。从芝麻对中国的消费者来讲是一个消费习惯，我们用的芝麻油呢是调味品，不是这个说是炒菜用的，所以呢这种消费习惯的话呢是非常难改变的。而且呢，我们最近呢在不断的开发一些新的消费的品种。那么你从这张图上来看的话呢，芝麻的价格有高有低，但是我个人认为，芝麻价格的变化对消费量的影响是非常少的。在过去的10几年呢，价格今天的价格大概也许看到这个巴基斯坦的价格在1100多左右啊，但是我见过2700多的 芝麻报价。所以这是很早以前，所以说这个价格的变化对芝麻的这个消费量呢是没有什么太高的增加的，太高的影响的。当然，另外一个东西就是大家行业内比较习惯谈论的这个港口库存。港口库存呢有高有低，高的时候我们见过35万吨，今天的话也就大约差不多15万吨左右吧。所以我个人感觉的话呢，这个港口库存的变化对消费的影响呢也很小。那么再讲一下这个芝麻消费的替代品啊，现在来讲的话呢，主要的替代品的话呢还是花生，然后这个芝麻和花生的价格呢有一些联动，然后特别是在油一些调和油里边呀，花生油啊，还有一些酱、芝麻酱、花生酱的一个消费。另外呢，在烘焙行业的话，最近呢就是说这个葵花仁的，对烘焙行业的影响还是有的哈。以上呢就是我的演讲。如果有不对的地方呢，希望大家指正。谢谢。
Shishi, Madam Lee, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 more speakers to go. I would now like to invite on the podium Mr. Deniz Kiziltan. He's the founder of Kiziltan Agro with his father, and he's been the Turkish representative of numerous world giant companies, and he's an authority on the Turkish sesame market at all international fora. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands up for Mr. Deniz Kiziltan.
Good morning, everyone. This is Deniz Kiziltan from Turkey. I will mention my company, Kiziltan Agro, Sesame seeds in Turkey, summer of 2023, updates for 2024, challenge and future of Turkish market. We as Kiziltan Agro, founded by Ahmet Kiziltan and Deniz Kiziltan, providing brokerage, representation, consultancy services in imports and exports of agricultural products. Sesame seeds market in Turkey. Consumption habits have changed as a result of migration to metropolitan areas. 35% of the imported sesame seeds are used in cement and bakery sector. 65% of the imported sesame seeds are used in tahini sector. Small seeds, kind of Chad, Uganda, Guinea, are used in cement and bakery section. Big seeds, kind of Sudan, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Mozambique are used in tahini and halwa sector. Summer of 2023. In 2023, Turkish importers' first preference was Chad. Nigeria's import decreased compared to 2022 due to salmonella analysis issues and poor quality. Brazil's import increased compared to 2022, which used for half export business. Pakistan had aflatoxin issues, which affected their import numbers. Germany, Netherlands, and Poland are the main 3 countries of hulled sesame export. Total hulled export is around 20,000 tons. Around 3,000 tons of natural sesame seed re-export to transit business. So local consumption is around 150,000 tons. Updates of 2024. Chad imports increased in 2024 compared to last year. Turkey imposed mandatory salmonella analysis for sesame imports from Nigeria. Also, due to quality issues, Nigeria is no longer the first preference of the Turkish buyers. Political unrest in Sudan had a negative impact on Sudanese import number. Challenges of Turkish market: high inflation, declining consumption, high freight cost due to the Red Sea crisis, reduced number of importers, defaulted cargoes from Europe and MENA. The onward trend in dollar exchange rate and limits imposed by banks on credit lines causing financial difficulties to importer companies. Inflation reached highest level in its history. The demand for sesame and sesame products has decreased significantly due to high inflation and reduced purchasing power of end users. Some importers who were unwilling to take long-term risk decide to buy daily from domestic market, which has led to a reduction in the number of importers. As a result of Red Sea crisis, shipping line increased freight rates. Also, transit time changed negatively. The defaulted cargoes from Europe and MENA diverted to the Turkish market. Therefore, it had a negative psychological impact on the domestic market. The expectation of a decrease in the international market impacts demand for new season. Despite all these challenges, Turkey continues to be the world's third largest sesame market. The opening of school in September and Ramadan in March will keep the need for sesame at a certain level. Thanks for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker for this session is Mr. Mihir Parmar from Mamta Commodities. Mr. Parmar has already been introduced in detail yesterday morning. This is his final time on the podium for this edition of the conference.
Good morning, everybody. Today I'll be speaking on the South Korean market. And as we might know, like South Korea is one of the top 5 importers of sesame seeds worldwide. Today we are going to look at the demand, the import origins, the import patterns, the Korean tender, how it's held and how it works, the supply chain and the trends and outlook for the Korean market as well. So the total demand for Korean market is around 100,000 metric tons. 90,000 is imported, of sesame seeds is imported, and around 10,000 is the local production, which is decreasing year by year. The official import quota is around 80,000 metric tons, and 10,000 metric tons due to high duty in Korea is carried by hand, let's say from China and other neighboring countries. There's a 630% tariff rate if it's imported without any quota. So most of the, almost all of the imports is done using the quota. And under the TRQ as well, the duty rate is of 40%. And the sesame seeds in Korea, I would like to say, is one of the most expensive for the consumer, around, let's say, $8 per kg. So there are 3 main import patterns and import routes through which South Korea imports. There's the government tender, there's China FTA, and there is the private quota as well. So we'll look at each one of them in detail in the slides ahead. In this one, you can see how much is imported in each of the years for the WTO quota, the China FTA, and the private quota. It ranges around 45 to 55,000 metric tons for the WTO tender. For the China quota, it has been fairly stable at 24,000 metric tons per year. China supplies around 24,000 metric tons per year through the quota, FTA quota to Korea. And there is the private quota as well of 10 to 13,000 metric tons per year. So which are the countries participating in the Korean tender? We would see that India, Nigeria, China, and Pakistan. So these are few of the major countries which are participating in the Korean tender, where India and Nigeria have been the major players which are consistently supplying. There is ample of new facilities opened in West Africa, in Nigeria, Burkina Faso as well, which are starting to supply good quantities and on a regular basis to the Korean market. India in the recent years has not been as competitive as they would like to be in terms of pricing, and due to that there is a chance for other participants as well. So particularly Nigeria, Burkina Faso has been increasing their numbers year on year, and Pakistan also has gained a major chunk of the Korean tender, whereas India exports to Korea in the past few years have, let's say, almost halved. So what is this government tender? So this government tender is held by the company called AT, It's a state-owned company established for maintaining a stable price for sesame, and they are in charge of regulating how much sesame would come to the country, what price would be set for the sesame, and henceforth. And they have a very big network of branch offices and very big distribution system with which they are able to import a large quantity of sesame themselves and supply to the local industries, local participants. And they are mainly buying two qualities, that is the high quality and the general quality. Both of these would require some sort of what you can say high-end processing like sortexing for them to qualify for the Korean market. So on this slide we can see the supply chain. So AT buys the cargo from the overseas suppliers and also gives the quota to some private players as well, which they can also import directly from the overseas suppliers. And then AT distributes it to their branch offices all over the country, and they sell the sesame publicly to industrial participants in Korea, which in turn send the cargo to the domestic markets. So some of the trends and outlook, as we can see for the Korean market, is that the consumption of sesame seeds in Korea has been quite stable for a few years. It has been moving, let's say, 5 to 10,000 metric tons here and there, like mainly based on the pricing of the sesame. Since the past few years, the pricing has been a bit higher, so they are tending to import slightly low quantities. But I think they will cover more quantities in the future as the prices are getting more and more attractive for them. There has also been a problem for stricter norms in Korea. Like there has been higher chances of what you can say stricter testing. Earlier there used to be like a single check for before shipment. Now there are like 2-3 checks before the cargo can even be shipped out from the origin country. So they are trying to minimize the rejection at the destination side and to make sure that their country gets the qualified cargo only. And due to more and more countries getting developed and more investment being made into state-of-the-art facilities for processing of sesame in Africa, in Pakistan, there are what you can say more diverse range of participants we can see in the market. So that's all from my side. Hope you enjoy listening to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Parmar. And with this, we come to the conclusion of formal presentations in this session. It's time for me to invite the entire panel onto the stage where we open question answers and, of course, the chairperson's remarks on the presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start inviting everyone onto the stage as we lay out the tables for them. As you're aware, this session is being chaired by Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, who's the Senior Vice President and the Business Unit Head for Sesame and Superfoods for Olam Agri. Our speakers thus far have been Mr. Masahiro Shiraishi, Ms. Lily Lee, Mr. Deniz Kiziltan and Mr. Mihir Parmar. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have made full use of Slido, because this is where we will also try and take as many questions as possible. And from here on, I leave this session in the hands of Mr. Sanjeev Sharma.
So thank you everyone for listening, and thanks to Sesame Info, CFNA for providing this opportunity for us to come together. So after all the wonderful presentations that we've had, there are a few questions that everyone might have. So we would go to those questions. Please feel free to add your questions on the Slido. Meanwhile, there were some questions which I have in mind, and I'd like to raise those questions to the esteemed panelists. So starting with Shiraishi-san. So very nice presentation. So you gave a good brief outlook of how the stock ratios are, what are the risks that are there for Japanese market. So 2 questions for you. One, you said that the stock ratios are minimal at this moment. At the same time, you're expecting Japan to buy less. So I did not understand that. Maybe you can elaborate more that why, if they have less stock, they would want to buy still less. Second question, what is the biggest risk that you see for the Japanese imports?
Okay, thank you very much. Just one point I want to need to understand that the buying quantity, the Japanese users' buying quantity is almost unchanged. So they want to buy, but cannot import. This is the actual situation, and that is the data. So they want to, they buy actually. So the contract is there, but actually because of the rejections, they cannot import. That is now the current situation. So that is also why the stock is low. Actually, our customers are trying to buy more, make more contracts, but because of the order inspection, the actual import timing is delayed because we have to check a lot. And also there is some rejection, then actually they receive the number. The actual import number is low. So that is a situation for that. And of course, customers want to raise the ratio up. Now currently they are low, but they want to make it more to more 50% or more. And sorry, what was the second question?
So what is the biggest risk that you see for the Japanese industry? Though it's a very constant industry, you've been buying same quantity for every year, and you've been changing suppliers also, but the industry, the quantity remains same. So what is the biggest risk that you see?
Yeah, the biggest risk is, as per my presentation, is the agri-chemical residues and also the aflatoxins. These are very difficult to solve because African farmers are very small, and also we have to gather all the small farmers and collect. We cannot trace back to each farmer, and also we cannot teach each farmer for how to use agrochemicals. Well, it'll be very difficult and challenges, but we have to solve how to do this.
Thank you. So please add some questions that you have on the Slido that will help us refine and go to deeper level of questioning. So next question to Lily. Lily, how do you see the Chinese market evolving? How do you see it after a few years? How will it be in the future? Any views on that?
You mean the consumptions, right? 我的观点是这样啊，其实中国的芝麻的消费是逐年增加的，然后呢，分不同的这个消费的品种，然后可能在前面的几年呢，这个芝麻油的增长比较快，然后这几年的话呢，芝麻油的增长的话呢，就是保持平稳吧，但是其他的制品的增长是比较快的，但是从疫情以后，我个人认为呢，可能在疫情之前，中国芝麻的消费呢是呈2位数的增长，但是最近几年呢，可能增长的速度呢会慢一点，然后可能增长的这个比例会在个位数上，但是总体的趋势的话呢，是一种增长的趋势。
I didn't understand anything, so I can. But any questions from the floor for any counter questions that you might have? Okay, we can have it later. Then let me go to Kiziltan Bay. A nice presentation, very crisp, very clear.
Thank you.
So what we see happening in Turkey is, very interesting developments have taken place. Turkey has become an re-exporter. So given the situation of Turkey, one, its blessed geographical position where it's very close to Europe, you could practically truck hulled seeds into Europe. What do you see future for Turkey as? Will the hulling industry grow? Will that become the hub for hulling instead of India? Or how do you see the future?
Exactly. We are not competitive with Indians, but every year we are getting increased our re-export. So hopefully we are going to increase our numbers. Because there are some pesticide issues in Europe, but Turkey now focused on this, so next years it will be better, I hope.
So apart from these pesticides issue, are there anything which is preventing Turkey from becoming a leading hulling destination? Can it become a leading hulling factory for the hull seeds?
It depends on facilities and the origins, so it can be changeable.
Thanks. So coming to Mihir for the Korean presentations, now, there is some news in the market or some hearsay that Korea is not utilizing its full quota. Is that a reflection on the market? First, is it true? Because these are not unconfirmed sources. We don't get the 100% accurate data. And what could it mean for the markets?
So since the past 2 years, I don't think so they are utilizing the entire quota. First of all, for the tender as well, like they have been buying less and less quantity, last year as well as last year also. It's on par with the average, but last year it was quite less as they had some budgetary issues actually. The prices had gone too up and the government didn't have the budgetary approvals in time for to utilize the entire tender quota. As for the private quotas, the industry participants, the local importers, they were not very keen on importing the sesame seeds at such high prices because the quotas itself were expensive. On top of that, the price of sesame was expensive, and they weren't able to compete with the local market against the sesame that was coming through the tender. So, for the private quota participants, they need to have some premium cargo, something better than what is provided by the government itself. So they weren't able to do so because of the higher rates of the quota itself.
So effectively, there was a reduction in demand in Korea.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. One interesting question has come up from the floor. Is correlating weather pattern to sesame consumption, can we say prolonged heat wave in China and Japan will reduce the consumption of sesame? So, for Shiraishi and for Lily.
For Japan, actually, I think, no, it doesn't affect the Japanese consumption. Even the summer days, we eat the sesame paste, sesame oil, as usual. There's a Japanese food for the summer. It's kind of noodle, but there's a food, and so the consumption will be unchanged.
是这样哈，中国的芝麻的消费已经趋于这个平坦化，在1年4季当中呢，它这个芝麻的消费是比较平缓的，不再像过去一样有什么特别高的季节性消费啊等等的。
And other question is on the price-sensitive markets. Do you think the consumptions will go up? Probably each one of you could answer. Japan, I think, is very clearly said, come what may, the consumption remains same. And I think that was visible from his numbers also. But for the other 3 markets, if we could have your views on, at the low price, will it mean more demand?
其实价格因素呢，对消费是一个很大的影响因素。但是我讲了啊，芝麻的消费在中国呢是一个非常小的品种，那么主要的消费占50%到55%的消费呢是芝麻油。其实芝麻油在中国的消费当中呢，只是一种调味品。那么价格呢，我个人认为呢有点影响，但是不大。因为这个你看中国的这个芝麻的进口总体是呈一个上涨的趋势，但是在这中间从2000年到现在到2023年的话呢，价格最低的时候有500多美金，最高的时候有2700到2800，即使 前几年的时候，大家也见过900到1000块钱左右的这个芝麻，但是总体的量是增长的。所以说我觉得价格有影响，但不是很大。但是如果价格很低的时候，可能会影响到一点点的，就是说在调和油里面，会放得多一些。然后它还要牵扯到其他的油的品种，比方说花生油啊等等。那么有一些调和油里面呢，它的占的比例也要根据这个榨油的成本来核算吧。这是我个人的观点。
So the question was, at the lower prices, in the price-sensitive markets, will the demand go up? So for your market, for Turkey, will the demand go up because the prices are going to be low on next season, or prices are currently low?
It depends on the time. In September, the season is start for Turkish domestic market. So in August, September, the demand will increase. And also in January, because it's the winter time and we are using tahina, halwa. So in January, it is increase. But Turkish buyers has got a special thing that they don't buy when it's decreasing. They always buying, the prices are increasing, so they won't, I think.
Mihir, you could add any other
Yes.
market also. If you want to
Yes,
add India, that's fine.
For the Korean market, normally they have fixed pattern, fixed intervals during which they buy. Normally they float the tenders from December to, let's say, August. And after August, there are rarely any tenders that are being floated. So even if they come up with a tender, they might not be able to take much quantity. Maybe like they can float a small tender of, let's say, 3,000 tons or 6,000 tons at the maximum. I don't think so. The lower prices, they will be able to import a lot, because they, for 2024, they need to complete their imports within 2024. So they are not allowed to import, float a tender now and import into utilize the quota of 2025. So that is the reason I think next year maybe they start importing higher amount, but maybe would change by 5,000 tons or 5,000, 10,000 tons at the maximum. So relatively it's going to be more or less stable, I think.
And then there's a question around organic seeds being imported into Korea and Japan. So is there any organic which comes into Korea?
Yes, Korea does buy organic sesame seeds as well at the private quota. So they have their own, what you can say, Korean organic program as well. And they do import NOP and NPOP and EU organic sesame seeds for the Korean market.
Sure. And Shiraishi-san, any organic which comes into Japan?
There are organic sesame in Japan, but very few. I think less than 1,000 tons, because Japanese citizen thinks that the food must be already safe. So people don't think any good or the value to the organic product.
So yeah, the Japanese standards are anyway very high, so it's quite understandable. Another question from the floor is it difficult to hull the Brazilian seed into Turkey, and is it leading to any less or any kind of quality issues into the European market?
Yes, we are re-export to halt to Europe, the Brazilian origin. Not always, but time to time we face some pesticide issues, but it's not always.
So ladies and gentlemen, I think this esteemed panel covering 4 of the largest markets did give us some good insights into the demand side. What I can understand, they're not expecting demand to really boom up even if the prices go low. Okay. So Any more questions if you have on the floor, we can. Otherwise, we're just about to close this session. So thank you, thanks a lot. Thanks to our esteemed panelists and thanks to everyone for this.
Sustainability and regenerative agriculture.
Oh.
Nothing was mentioned in the conference. Please throw some light on this issue for sesame industry.
Very interesting question, Jaswinder, for whom we should direct it to. Okay. So anything on the sustainable and regenerative, probably Japan has the biggest value buyer. So maybe you could have some ideas on this.
Yes, regarding the sustainability, Japanese customers has some interest for that. And because of the other products like coffee, cacao, or palm oil, those are moving more forward to these sustainability activities. And also because of that, Japanese customers are now also thinking of these kind of the sustainability programs. So currently, some of the customers now already done some of the activities in Africa or South America. Then I'm not sure yet that these activities will increase or not, but at least there are some already.
So just to go out of turn and take my own take on this particular topic, it's a very interesting subject. It's very, very particular to supply chain companies which are present in Africa, Central Americas. Okay? So we do see some action being taken. As Olam, we do run a lot of programs where we're doing these sustainability efforts. Okay? And many of them are partnered with the end buyer, because ultimately it is the end user who should be able to take some advantages out of it. Okay? So other than that, it's a sustainability efforts of the supply chain or the originators that are existent in the origins.
Yeah, so the main problem with the sesame is like the land holdings are quite less, quite small. Overall in, let's say, Africa and the Asian subcontinent, as you can see. So managing what you can say, programs like sustainability and regenerative agricultural programs tend to be more difficult, is what I can see. But let's say where land holdings are huge, like in North America, South America, where mechanized farming is being used, what you can say, a better approach to sustainability can be implemented, is what I'm thinking.
Okay, so thanks a lot.
All
Thanks,
right,
everyone.
with this we conclude this session. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Sanjeev Sharma and his eminent panelists on the stage.